Curtis Calhoun here with MMA News, and my next guest is another big fight coming up on Dana White's Contender series. It's Rainn Guerrero joining me. How's it going, Rainn?
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me. That's
Absolutely.
Gypsy, by the way.
Absolutely. And I got to get your first thoughts on Dana White's Contender series. Obviously, this is a super exciting time for you and your life and your career. Just kind of tell me how this camp has been so far and how pumped you are to get back in there.
Well, man, actually, this camp's been pretty rough. It was a long one. We found out pretty early. I don't know, early summer. So it was different, right? To be like in a 3 month long or whatever it was, 4 month, whatever. And so yeah, it's been long. It's been long and drawn out. I can't wait to get in there. I haven't fought since November. So, I had like early pullouts in the beginning of the year before we found out about Contenders. So it's just been a long year for me. I'm just ready to get back in there, and like this stage and this setting, it just feels like the stars aligned for me. Like all of the pullouts happened for a reason and just gave me time to get better and work on all these things. So I just feel like everything is just lining up perfectly. I'm just ready.
Yeah, I think you had something like 3 months notice for this fight. So it's obviously got to be a long camp. What are some of the pros and cons that come with, having that camp? Obviously, you have more time to prepare and all that, but I feel like, the grind and the grit of a camp is it can be hard sometimes.
Yeah, definitely hard on my joints for sure. um, yeah, I mean the pros, obviously, you have a lot of time to like work on things pretty thoroughly and just feel confident, in things that, you just have time, more time to work on stuff. But I mean, the cons is like you have more time to work on stuff, and so the injuries, the little bumps and bruises, just the longevity of it, it's just tiring, to do it for so long, so hard for so long. Um, you know, good and bad, however you look at it. But I mean, I think it was a perfect amount of time. I feel like I'm in the best shape I've ever been in going in. I'm like the most happy, I'm the most confident. I'm just like, it was so all in all, the pros outweighed the cons for me, but like the long camp definitely is rough. Like, do not recommend.
What is it like in terms of like mentally preparing for this fight? Obviously, you've had such a long camp, and to get ready for a platform like this is obviously got to be super exciting. But what has it been like for you in terms of like building the mental side of your game and overall, happiness in your life, like you mentioned, and all that?
Yeah, it's I've done like a lot of like positive affirmations, just like self-talk, just saying out loud, that I'm the best, I'm the greatest, every time the cage door locks, they're in there with me. Just a lot of positive talk has really helped me. This camp is something that like I've never really done before. Gypsy, she is so rude. She just doesn't like when I pay attention to other things. That's really what this whole thing is about. She just doesn't want me to pay attention like to something else. Gypsy Straw Mama.
It's all good.
Um, yeah, she's so bad. I love her so much. Look, she's so cute. Um, anyway, what were we talking about?
Oh, I was just talking about you were talking about like positive affirmations and some of the
Oh yeah,
mental
yeah,
things you've
yeah,
done.
yeah. The mental part. So I've done a lot of that, and honestly, just like grind harder. Just like really just outwork like the self doubt, and any little thing in the back of my mind, just outwork it. So, that's really, I guess, really the most things that I've changed. Just like my morning sessions have gotten like longer than they usually were. My nighttime sessions have been like probably like an hour longer too. So just adding a whole, just working harder, man, and just like I said, positive self talk.
Do you feel like this opportunity is coming at the perfect time in your life and career? Obviously, you're coming into this fight with a lot of momentum, 4 wins in a row. Obviously, a lot of success on the regional scene. Just kind of talk to me a little bit about that. Like, do you feel like this has come at the perfect time in your career when everything's kind of lined up perfectly?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because I was actually on the list to go to the tough season, not this one that, with the girls, the last one. And I was like, I did my medicals, I had like the whole interview thing, like a week before we were set out to fly out. They tell me that I was an alternate. I got bumped down to alternate, but I'm at the top of the list. And if someone drops out, they're gonna call me. Okay, well, we saw that, some people dropped out and I never got called. So, but at the time I was 2-1. So when I got that offer, I was like, I did have in the back of my mind, like, dang, like 2-1, like I want more experience. I didn't feel like I was ready, but I was ready to do it. If the opportunity, I wasn't going to pass it up. But like in the back of my head, I did feel like that, like, man, a little too early, but I was ready to do it anyway. So then that didn't fall through. And then boom, I was able to knock, like 3 more or whatever it was. Yeah, 3 more, boom, 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 really quick. So now I do feel like, okay, boom, got the experience. Yeah, just getting those 3 wins was like imperative. So yeah, I feel so much better now about it, like internally. And yeah, feel ready to go now. Yeah, for sure.
When you first got into MMA, was this always an opportunity that you envisioned happening at some point in time? Or how did you first get into MMA and how did this all come about?
I got into MMA more on a weight loss journey. My plan was to start cardio kickboxing so I could lose weight and then go walk on to UTSA softball team.
Hmm.
Um, I had started. I got a scholarship, went to Houston to JUCO right out here, and then ended up failing my college algebra class. I lost my scholarship, and then I never finished. Right, so that was like always like a big like regret in my life that I never finished my degree and I never finished like my 4 years of playing softball. So that was I had gained like 100 pounds, by the way. Like after I lost my scholarship, like boom, got like really big, just like eating really bad and like
Hmm.
drinking and stuff like that. So I had gained 100 pounds. So I got to like 235 at one point. So my plan was like, okay, I'm going to lose weight and then I'm going to go walk on the softball team. That was like my big thing. And then, so yeah, I started cardio kickboxing for that reason. And then just never stopped. Totally just disregarded the softball thing. And then just like, yeah, I just kept training and just had a few smokers, had an amateur debut and it just kind of spiraled. But, yeah, no, this was always in the plans. Like once I decided to go pro, then this was the goal. You had that fork in the road, right? As an amateur, like, is this for me or not? And made that conscious decision that I was going to be broke for the next couple years. you know, just had that goal in my mind and that sacrifice. Gypsy, stop. Yeah, this was always the goal. So I'm sorry, she's super distracting. I just cannot with her.
Oh, you're good. It's all good. No problem at all. Was there a specific moment like earlier on in your career where you kind of realized like, hey, I can make myself a long-term future out of this? Like, was there a specific moment where, you really started to gain that passion for fighting and competition and all that?
Well, I've always had like the passion for competition with softball and stuff. So like that competitor and athlete's always been in me. I just kind of lost my way for a little bit.
Mm.
So, but the turning point, I think like I did have an aha moment when Ronda Rousey was hitting the scene.
Mm.
And I was like, dang, like this is the only thing that girls can actually do, like any sport that people actually want to watch. And so the buzz she was making, the money, that we heard she was making and stuff like that, I was like, dang, like fighting can actually take you farther than softball ever could. Because what is at the end of that road? Like a bachelor's, and then like boom, that's it. Because they got rid of the Olympics and they got rid of the professional league that they had. And so anyway, I did have the aha moment with Ronda, like, dang, this is if I want to be a professional athlete, this is like the best way to go, really, out of like any women's sport. So
What are some of the similarities between like in terms of like the things that you take away from softball versus MMA in terms of like your discipline? Like, do you feel like you kind of established like your discipline and certain elements of your overall athleticism while you were playing softball that kind of gave you an advantage when you switched to MMA?
you know, softball, there's certain things like angles, if you play infield and stuff like that, like angles of that, and striking have similarities. But I think the biggest takeaway that I took from softball was the monotonous drilling.
Mhm.
Just the importance of like the reps and just like the boring stuff. That's all softball and baseball is, I swear. Like, and so that mindset with drilling and that what do you call it? That philosophy with drilling is the main thing that I took. But like honestly, like a lot of stuff, maybe like an overhand kind of translates
Mhm.
from throwing, right? But other than that, no, it's actually totally different and not very much translated, honestly. Just but like those key things did, yeah. overhands are a lot easier for me to throw than someone that hasn't played softball, I notice, or baseball.
When you look at your path, obviously, you mentioned the weight gain and softball falling through and all that. Like when you look at everything that's happened leading up to this point, like, do you kind of feel like it's surreal in terms of where you're at right now compared to
Oh
where you
yeah.
were years ago?
Yeah, for sure. You can go on my Instagram and like find pictures like of how big I was and stuff, and just like the life I was living, and just so unhealthy, right? And just so like lost. And yeah, to just think back, I don't know how many years it's been now, almost 10. It hasn't been 10 yet, but just like every day grinding towards something, like you just work towards something every day, and then you look up and you're like, oh shit, like it's here, and it is that, yeah, it is surreal, it is crazy, and so it is a lot to take in. But I've just been kind of just like, hey, like I worked for this, I knew it was coming, it's here now, like let's go. That's how I kind of been like, trying to, keep it to where it's like, yes, it's a big opportunity, but it's not bigger than me, type deal. So, but yeah, no, this is crazy. This is crazy. Yeah. Because my first amateur fight was like 155.
Right.
I fought at lightweight, so going down to featherweight and bantamweight, and then now flyweight is just like, and then to just be in this situation and just like on Contender series, like, dang, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, this is cool as shit, honestly.
In terms of like your long-term future in your career, like, do you kind of see yourself as like a bantamweight long-term or flyweight, or where do you kind of see yourself going forward?
No, I'm going down to flyweight.
Mm.
Maybe when I get like older, 31 now. Maybe if I get to like 38, keep it on 40, that's a different situation. But no, bantamweights are too big, bro. They're too big. There's a very noticeable size difference, which is why I made the drop in the first place. Bantamweights are just longer, they're stronger, and they hit harder. And I feel like flyweights, like, there's just a noticeable difference. And if I can make flyweight, dude, I'm gonna make it. And flyweight makes me be like on point, makes me be on point with my cardio, makes me be on point with my diet. With bantamweight, I don't have to be as strict. And I think like in the one loss that I did have to Annette Nichols, that was like the main thing that happened to me. It was like COVID happened. I got really big. I cut too much weight because I knew I could and stuff like that. And it was like a bad weight cut. I couldn't perform. She was like making me see flashes of white with jabs, dude. Like it was like so bad. And so that fight really like showed me like, okay, first of all, I wasn't as disciplined as I should have been during COVID, right? And that showed. But the other thing is like, these girls are too long and too strong. And, if I can make it healthy, like I'm going to make it. So yeah, I see myself at flyweight until my body says otherwise. But right now, I've just been, I've been heavy for I was heavy for so many years. And so like, I've never even been this small. So, this is like new territory for me too, to like be a flyweight and like walk around, in the low 40s and stuff. I've never done that in my life. Even like high school, I was like in the 60s, 160s. So it's an uncharted territory for me. But for now, like I've been able to hold it and feel good in practice and feel like energized. So yeah, we're going to stay at flyweight.
What are some of the ways that you feel like you've grown the most as an athlete and as a fighter since that loss to Annette? Like, what are some of the biggest things you've really honed in on, focused on, and developed over this time?
Oh, just the diet and the discipline in between fights. Because I'll go hard every camp, right? But it's the lifestyle of the clean eating and like not drinking. So like that was like a big thing that, I like to party, whatever, sue me. But like that was the main thing that I had to really realize, that you can't balance both. Like there is no balance of both. Like there's like, oh, it's Christmas with family type shit. And like, this is like, you know what I'm saying? Like once or twice a year type shit. And like, I had to get that through my head, So that was like the main thing I would say, that changed. But slowly over time, I've just developed better working habits, in practice. I used to go so hard and like kill my body and not recover and stuff like that. Just like meathead kind of training. And, I've really honed in on that too, and just been more body aware and like, recovery and stuff, and put a lot more energy into that, cooling down, warming up, stretching, ice baths, massages, like all that stuff. Like I used to never do that. Like who does that? I don't know why, but
Right.
yeah, I would just like train, and then just go to sleep. And so I think that was the two main things that have kind of like changed since I guess looking back as an amateur to now. Yeah, those two things. But oh yeah, from a net though, yeah, the diet, dude, the diet in between.
Absolutely. And one more question for me. Once again, I really do appreciate the time. It's great to meet you, great to chat with you, and I'm really excited to see your fight. And last question for me: like, what's your message to Dana White? Like, what kind of fight can he expect when you enter the cage at the UFC Apex? And what do you want him to know about your fighting style before he gets ready to watch you?
Oh man, I'm just, he just gotta wait and see. I'm a pressure fighter, in a dog fight every time. So, he's gonna see me do what I do.
Absolutely. Well, Rainn, it was great to meet you. Good to chat with you. And I'm sure we'll chat again soon. Thank you so much for the time. All the best with these
Yeah, for sure.
last few days of camp. And I'm sure we'll chat again soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Let's do this after the fight. Let's catch up.